So yeah, when you see tornado chasers being there with the tornadoes which are artificially produced.
Whoa there, slow down buddy, give a guy a chance to get some clothes on first before jumping right into that crazy. Now everyone can see my absurdly big muscles. God, this is so embarrassing. You say that again while I slip into something a little bit more comfortable.
So yeah, when you see tornado chasers being there with the tornadoes which are artificially produced.
There we go. And oh, what? This old thing? I got it from represent.com/store/dash sick-merc. Mrs. Sick has added a bunch of new designs this week. Check them out. Okay, shameless plug over. So, yeah. Not that I don't appreciate getting down to brass tacks right away, but tornadoes are artificially produced. Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. All you have to do is show me where, how, and more importantly, why, and I mean a good why, with actual rationale behind it, why they would do that. Although, gotta be honest, I'm not sure that's gonna happen.
And you have to be very brave to do that. So
do you have to be brave to chase tornadoes? Because they are tornadoes, or because they are artificial? Are they real ones? Are the real ones safe? Perhaps because they are natural, and as we all know, everything from nature is good for us, and that's a fact. TM.
in my opinion, what happens in the United States is an experiment.
What exactly? The tornadoes? Because I don't know how to break it to you, but we know how tornadoes are formed. In a simplified explanation, warm wet air and cold dry air meet, create atmospheric instability, wind speed increases and the height of this hot cold mess expands, creating a tunnel of rotating air, while rising air causes this sky pipe to move from a horizontal to vertical orientation. It's at this point that a tornado can be formed. Doesn't necessarily happen, which is what makes them hard to predict. But we do have a good idea where it is likely within a smallish window. Now I would love to know where exactly they are generating this confluence of weather patterns to sort of maybe make a tornado, and how on earth something so incredibly difficult to do would be in any way useful, let alone the tornado doing what you want it to, instead of, say, just coming back and messing up all of your shiz.
Not just in the US, but everywhere in the world where you see these things happening.
Well, they don't really happen everywhere, do they? Certainly not with the regularity of some places. Now, would that be because certain places have the above-mentioned different weather types near to each other, like, say, the warm air from the Gulf of Mexico and the cold air from Canada? Nah, couldn't be. Otherwise, loads of tornadoes would happen around there. Oh, wait. That's literally called Tornado Valley.
I guess when you use artificial technology like machines type Skynet and Terminator, then you can do whatever you want.
Sorry, Skynet? Are we really going there? What is it with you lot and thinking sci-fi movies are actually sci-fact movies? It's in the name. Science fiction, bruh. It's not real. It's hand-made up. Christ. Soon you'll be spouting the same nonsense as Mountain Tree Man.
Right? If you read the Book of Enoch, you understand pretty much how the world works and what the world is.
Ew. Religious texts are an accurate reflection of reality. No, you cut that out. You stop it before I get that book and I boop you on the nose with it, boyo.
Unfortunately, people are not usually accustomed to be so open-minded, so...
There's being open-minded and there's believing things that have zero evidence backing them up, apart from the fee-fees and wanting to be special.
Again, we know that there's huge trees in the world which were like, the mountain ranges.
Oh my god, I was joking. I was joking about you being like Mountain Tree Man, aka the great idea for a fantasy setting let's pretend it's real guy. Any of you who haven't seen it, I did a little series on this completely baffling man, whose ideas range from the earth is hollow with an extra sun in the middle, to caves are actually the empty remnants of these mountain trees, and the crystals within them are fragments left over from someone cutting down said trees. It's as fascinating as it is bonkers, and you should totally check it out. Playlist in the description.
Like the Alps and the Himalayas and the Carpathians and the Urals and all the mountain range of mountains, they were huge forests or trees that were destroyed by some kind of like tornado or a natural event or artificial event.
You act like you know these trees were definitely there, but can't tell me how they were cut down. Not even a likely hypothesis, just it could be literally anything. Well, here's one for you. I bet they were not cut down by anything, 'cause they weren't trees. They are actually, get this, mountains that are actually caused by interactions of tectonic plates. And would you look at that? It just so happens they'll appear along the point where the plates meet. How very shocking.
So if you have these our trees right now, which are like bushes compared to the ancient trees, and they can be destroyed so easily, then just imagine the same event like a million times multiplied in terms of force and power and capacity of destruction.
You know what? You're right. I can imagine a lot of things that will have destroyed other things that never existed. Doesn't suddenly make them real. Here's a pro tip. If it exists in your head, but not in the real world, it's pretend. If it exists in your head and the real world, then it's real. Look, I'll make you a chart. Right, print that out and stick it to your computer screen so that every time you decide to make a video, you'll know exactly what to do.
And the same thing can happen to the forest before, like what we have right now are the remaining, or what's remained of the forest being destroyed.
You wait a goddamn minute. I think you'll find it's man that has destroyed the vast majority of forests, thank you very much. It's the one thing that they have achieved that I'm really rather proud of. Because those dumb little goits don't seem to understand that trees make the oxygen they need to live. It's proper hilarious watching them slowly choke themselves to death. Don't even need to blow them up myself. Grand.
We have the ancient trees which were cut artificially, that's what we call mesas, like the Devil Tower, and other type of those trees that are the world is full of them. And then you have the mountains that were literally just destroyed or torn apart.
Again, what proof do you have that they were even trees of any definition? And no, myths do not count. They never count and come under the same category as sci-fi/fantasy movies. In fact, when you think about it, a lot of these stories are basically the superhero comics of their time. No, that doesn't mean Iron Man is real, you dumb fuck.
And you have the volcanoes as well, like Mount Fuji, which are like chemical residual chemicals just together piled up, and that's why the volcano explodes.
What? I need to hear that again, because I'm pretty sure I'm going crazy at this point.
And you have the volcanoes as well, like Mount Fuji, which are like chemical residual chemicals just together piled up, and that's why the volcano explodes.
What? Volcanoes are chemical residue buildup, and that's why they explode. I mean, okay, technically they are full of chemicals, because, you know, everything and the chemicals, but we all know that's not what you mean. You mean chemicals, in big quotes, to mean some sort of green glowing nonsense, or I guess yellow/orange in this case, that is nebulously bad. And that's what volcanoes are full of, for some reason. Are you actually completely mad? Where are these chemicals coming from? Why do they distinctly look like lava? And why does the exact same substance come out of all of them?
My understanding is that you can have this type of...
I'm going to stop you there. Your understanding seems like a bit of a gross exaggeration if I ever did hear one. Let's call it your fanciful, incoherent ramblings.
Storm or event that can destroy pretty much anything. It has to be on a greater scale, and in that case you just destroy the same way that you destroy a carbon-based forest or trees.
Do you not think that a storm like that might have left some kind of historical bearing? Now, I know you would say, well, look at their mountain trees! And okay, what else? Where's the geological evidence? It should be literally everywhere. I mean, we're talking about a storm 10 times more powerful than anything we've ever seen. According to your own words, that thing would be stripping up chunks of earth and throwing them clear across the planet. But as far as I'm aware, we don't really see anything like that, beyond debris being thrown from volcanoes. But this thing should just be everywhere. I mean, all mountain ranges appear to be one of your trees, so it happened basically everywhere, and yet still no evidence, apart from your stumps that just so happen to also conform to plate tectonics.
And after the storm, that's what you're left with. Just destruction, right? So nothing stands in place or on its feet. Unfortunately, that's the history which happened.
Yep, the history that happened, that there's no evidence left to infer it from, and no worldwide groups of documents that corroborate this idea with each other. But hey, it's apparently written in a hella old book that has the origins of demons and fallen angels, and those things are totes real, because we see them all the time, right? You know, in popular media, all containing hiddentruth.jpg.
I know people are not accustomed to actually understand this because
human beings, unfortunately for you, like that pesky evidence and reality. And when you tell them to believe because I told you to, without the benefit of brainwashing, they just make videos about you and make terrible jokes. Hey, that's what I'm doing.
life is all about consuming and doing stuff because your parents did and your grandparents did, and that's tradition and custom.
Well, of course. I mean, I still get up every day to go down the mines at 5 in the morning, have 17 kids in the vain hope of 2 of them surviving, beat the ever-loving Christy cakes out of them to learn them good, before going to a big building once a week to worship a man that I am sure exists, and definitely isn't an excuse to take my money and give it to a multinational organisation for them to spend it covering up scandals. Oh wait, I do none of those things, because progress. Seriously, give me 5 things that you do every day that aren't necessary to your survival or deeply involved in a bodily function that you share in common with your parents. I mean, you could probably do it, but I bet it's really, really hard. Penis joke.
So that's what people think all the time, right? And life is short and you get depressed and blah, blah. So yeah.
Well, way to debunk your own idea immediately. Christ, try talking to someone over the age of 50 or 60 about depression. Now, hashtag not all, but it is depressing, ironic I know, how many of them think it's not real or about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Because, so many of their friends now don't have depression, conveniently forgetting all the people who discreetly topped themselves over 40 years ago or had the melancholy and ended up in a sanatorium or some other thing that they labelled it other than depression. No, thankfully, there is a lot more work done to understand these things and less stigma about feeling like absolute crap, so people can actually get help. But that means more people are still alive long enough to need that help. It's actually a good thing, at least if you have one of those pesky loved ones that you want to not die. I mean, I don't get it, but it seems like it might be pretty important. But we're just going to ignore that massive societal change because, well, it's a bit inconvenient for you, isn't it? Hell, you probably didn't even think about it, because that would require thinking about anything, ever.
But in the case of those people who are open-minded and they understand what they're seeing on the skies...
Have you tried having an open mind to, real things? No, I thought not. Open-mindedness only seems to apply to believing things that are objectively stupid.
And when you have storms, then I guess it's not that big of a deal, right? I mean, it isn't at the beginning when you have short circuits in your brain and you change your mindset and you understand pretty much everything that's happening around you.
I'm pretty sure that if you short circuit your brain, you're more likely going to be completely incapable of understanding anything of what's going on around you. That's why I often reboot mine with 2 gallons of whiskey. Keeps me at the top of my intellectual game. Now, remind me where I parked my castle. I know it's around here somewhere. Do you find yourself wondering, how can me show humans I am the smart? Is am the way to thinking being a purchase? Well, to answer your incredibly poorly worded questions, yes, I think. Honestly, I have no idea what you want, but I'll be damned if I don't take this as an opportunity to sell you things. Like new improved Sick brand merch, now featuring the designer of almost all Sick brand merch. Right, the name's on the tip of my tongue. I want to say Cheryl Pringle? No, wait, it's Mrs. Sick. That's right. I always forget she exists. Also, handsome, famous, and good at the sex tease. Ampersand, not forgetting this pretty badass comic book style one that I would buy myself if I wasn't so poor. Sick brand merch, because we're tired of eating stray cats. Oh, there's one now. Get it!